Hello and welcome to another video by Decrypting Crypto and Breakout Solutions. My name is Wasim and I'm your host today. Now, as you guys have become accustomed to, every single Thursday we bring out a new video looking at world economic news or something around the world, what are the changes, anything that we feel is important for you guys to be up to date with, as well as any mindset stuff and any tips and strategies to grow your wealth. So today I wanted to go down deep in the whole of what's happening around the world with fiat currencies. So over the past few weeks, I've done a couple of videos around the de-dollarization, the rise of the BRICS and so forth. Today, I want to explore what has been happening worldwide and what has been happening worldwide historically when it comes to paper money and fiat currencies. So did you know that in history, there's been over 775 fiat currencies that have failed? Okay, that's 775 paper money that has failed. On average, the lifespan of fiat currencies is only about 27 years. Now, keeping in mind that the US dollar has been around, has been a fiat currency or has no backing since 1971, which is around 50 years, it's done pretty well so far. And over 750 hyperinflation events have happened in just the past 100 years. So we're going to look into all of these different type of events and give you guys an idea of how historically fiat currencies have failed and why they are always destined to fail. So I want to share my screen first of all and just look at a couple of things. And before I do that, let's look at, I want to just first of all just discuss with you guys some of the main reasons why historically fiat currencies have failed. And this goes back all the way back to the Roman Empire. So it's not something new. Basically, the main reason is excess money printing. So we see that whenever there's fiat currencies, governments always get tempted to print more and more money to pay off their debt. When they print more money, that reduces the value of the currency. That usually then leads to hyperinflation, and then that usually brings on a revolt or some type of revolution and so forth. Economic mismanagement is also a big reason. Wars and political instability. Unstable debt levels. So, you know, when countries have really high debt levels, and yesterday, if you were watching, or the other day, if you'd been watching my live stream, I spoke about that the US could be defaulting on their debt as early as the 1st of June 2023. So depending when you're watching this video, loss of confidence in the currency. So we're seeing a loss of confidence in the US dollar right now all around the world, especially after the weaponization of the dollar. Government intervention and corruption. Debasement of the currency, so the government itself devalues the currency, and we're going to speak about some countries that have done that, and external shocks and currency devaluation. So looking at this, and let's have a look at what's happened in the US dollar. I want to share my screen here with you guys. So let's have a look at what's happened with the US dollar. So since 1971, the US dollar has been removed from the gold standard. So President Nixon went on TV in 1971, and he said that he's temporarily removing the convertibility of the dollar to gold. Now, this was the time this was very temporary, but ever since then, the US dollar has had no backing. Since then, the US government has been able to print endless amount of money whenever they want. And because of that, the dollar value, the purchasing value has gone down. So you can see this in this chart. You know, the US dollar has lost 97% of its purchasing power. Also, the US doesn't have fractional reserve banking anymore, just like Australia. So what that means is banks no longer need to keep any money in their bank for depositors to withdraw their money. So they can go out and lend it all, or risk it all, or invest it all, do whatever the hell they want with it, with your money, and not have to keep any of it. Previously, banks used to have to keep at least 10%, and then they could do whatever they want, 90%. Now they can pretty much do anything they want with 100%. The FDIC, which is the insurance company, the insurance body in the US, is supposed to be backing banks, but they don't have enough money to cover all the bank deposits. They literally have only about 1.3% to cover all of the deposits in America. And we've had multiple crises since 2008. So we had the global financial crisis in 2008. We had the pandemic crisis in 2020, and we've got the financial crisis of 2022 and 2023. Then we've also got the current emergence of the BRICS organization, and 24 countries wanted to become part of that, which is going to become a major threat to the dollar if they bring out their own currency or if they end up using the yuan as a currency. Now, let's look in history and what's happened. Even if we go back to the Roman Empire with the debasement of the silver coins, we can see that this was one of the major factors that led to the demise of the Roman Empire. So, some people think that there are currencies that are way too big, but we can see this right now that it's not true. Okay, so we can see from this that we can see from this chart that, as you can see, as the Roman what was it called, the Roman Denarius, over time they start to debase it. So it was 100% silver or 97% silver, you can see there, and over time they started reducing the amount of silver to being only 3%. So from 150 AD to 300 AD, you can see that it gone down in value, and therefore that caused the decline of the currency, and also ended up causing the decline to the Roman Empire. Now, the challenge here is we have not learned from this in history, and we're seeing governments continue to do that over and over again. So in America, it's not the first time that they've had their currency failed. So I don't know if you've heard of the saying, it's not worth a continental, but the Continental Currency was the currency that was used in America during the Revolutionary War between 1775 and 1781. Okay, it also caused rampant inflation because of excessive money printing. The currency literally became worthless and gave the rise to the phrase "not worth a continental." So again, the US has not learned from this, and have continued to endless money printing and debasing the currency, and this is now causing the decline of the US dollar and the demise of the fiat currency. Again, if we look in history, we see this happening again. So even in the French Revolution in the 1700s, we see also that the value of the French Assignats, I hope I said that right, has actually declined between 1789 and 1796. And you can see this is all during the French Revolution. It added financial risk crisis to the company. They over-insured and they had rampant inflation. The currency collapsed and was replaced by the franc. And again, this is just more evidence that when you have too much money printing, this is what you're doing to your money. Now, let's look at what happened in Germany. So Germany post-World War I also had hyperinflation. So between 1914 and 1923, I hope I say this right, the Papiermark pretty much lost most of its value, and people were actually using money to burn in the heaters and furnaces to be able to heat up their homes. So prices would double every few days during that time. There was currency collapse and replacement by the rent mark, and all of this was consequences of the war that they had just come out from. So wars are very, very bad for currencies. Even though currently wars are used by big corporations and the industrial military complex to push for so they can make money. But the only way that they can make money is by governments printing more money. When governments print more money, it devalues the money and therefore causes inflation and causes the devaluation of the money. It's not only happened in America or Rome or France or Germany. It's happened in other countries around the world. So let's look at Hungary and the Hungarian pengo. So the Hungarian pengo, they would have hyperinflation their hyperinflation was prices doubling every 15 hours. Okay, again, it was post-World War I chaos. Okay, the currency was just there was just so much money in there, and they had hyperinflation, and the money went to zero. So every 15 hours, prices would double. So imagine you go in the morning to buy a loaf of bread, and you go again later on in the evening to buy a loaf of bread, and the price is going to double the price. Now, people's wages cannot keep up with that. This is what causes a lot of stress, a lot of financial stress, causes civil unrest, and so forth. This is the result of hyperinflation. Zimbabwe is another country that is not immune to this. And we can see here that again, Zimbabwe had massive inflation in the early 90s. They had an economic and political collapse. But Yugoslavia had this in the early 1990s, and that collapsed the Yugoslav dinar. They had a monthly inflation of 313 million% per month. Okay, and this then broke up the Yugoslav. This is obviously because the Yugoslav broke up, and we had then that caused the Yugoslav to break up, and we obviously had the wars back then, and now we've got Croatia, Serbia, and Bosnia as the countries that have come out of that. So as you can see, political strife can have a massive impact on the country's currency, especially when that currency is not backed by any real commodity. All right, let's move over to Argentina, and the Argentine peso also failed, and they had over 100% inflation just in February 2023. So this is just a couple of months ago. So a couple of months ago, Argentina had over 100% inflation in 1 month. Okay, they had a economic crisis in the early 2000s. They have massive debt, massive high inflation. They continue to devalue and prolong the instability there. And this is causing a lot of people moving away from the peso and moving away to the dollar or towards cryptocurrencies. And we've discussed this a number of times on our channel. Now, moving on, we've got the Venezuelan Bolivar, which also has had over 650,000% inflation in just 2020. Okay, they've got severe inflation since 2008 till now. They have mismanagement. They have collapsing oil prices. They're actually looking at maybe replacing that currency now. But what you can the Venezuelan government has actually, they flood the market with new printed money. Okay, the dollar loses the Bolivar loses its value against the dollar, and then it becomes very hard to maintain. So this is what happens when governments just print money out of nowhere. You start to lose value. Moving on, we have another two countries to go through, and the next one is the Turkish Lira. So currently they've got a crisis since 2018, economic mismanagement, high inflation, geopolitical tension, loss of trust, especially what's happening right now between in the war over in Europe and where Turkey's alliances are. Turkey's actually applying to maybe becoming part of the BRICS. Also, they're part of the European Union. So there's a lot of tension happening around there in Turkey right now, which is causing a massive decline in the Turkish lira. And last but not least, I want to leave you guys with a short video after this. Is the Lebanese lira. So the Lebanese lira has had political corruption for many years, even before I left there. I remember when I was a child, my dad would give me 1 or 2 lira to go out and buy like spending money and pocket money, whatnot. By the time we left Lebanon, we were getting hundreds of liras for our spending money, because over time the lira devalued. And this is looking at 2020, where the Lebanese lira became 10,000 lira became equal to $1. Now, recently, I think it was in February, we reported on this. The government debased the money once again, and they made it 15,000 lira for $1. That's the official rate. However, on the black market, it is right now 100,000 lira to $1. So a lot of people living in Lebanon now is becoming one of the poorest countries in the world, because people just can't make enough money to be able to keep up with it. So I'm going to share with you guys a quick video, which is a YouTube video that I found. Actually, my son sent it to me. And he was saying, "Hey Dad, look at this, look at what's happening with the Lebanese lira." And he said to me, check this out. So here's the video that my son found on TikTok. I'm going to play that with you. It goes on for about 25 seconds. So can you imagine what it's like living in a country where your money completely gets debased? This is the problem with fiat currencies, and this is why having hard money, something that's backed or something that's completely decentralized, is the way to protect your wealth. I hope you found this information useful, and I hope please share and like and subscribe to the channel, guys, and let your friends know about this information so that they are also aware and learn how to protect themselves. As I always say, stay crypto. Peace out. Bye.